respect. Yeah. I think it's time for reality check. Yeah, reality check. Gotta get you back on cold. Reality check. For the young and the old. Reality check. Yeah, the heal your soul. Reality check. Get ready for the show. Religion is not for black folks. Only the truth. The reason I believe distract me from you. No UFO. Only for you by you. No UFO. Only for you by you. I'm in heaven, no need for religion. Catholic, Christian, church of your business. Folks that make a hide our origin. Therefore, Yoshi reborn again. Back in the day, I was known as Kala. These folks don't respect their father. So I send them back to the waters of none. We made it through the Mahapa. My ancestors call us war. You say I saw. My love now train song. It's TR, you must protect harder. Undefeated for resilient frequency. In the universe is still against you and me. I am one with the first frequency. I am one with the first idea. I am one with the first born people. I am one with the only one. And so it is. You are the thinker that makes the thought anything. Meditating tongue, chill amongst kings and queens. America has failed after rejecting the trade and chill. Too fast, too often. Toxic stress taken to the coffin. Intergenerational trauma made us have sex with our own mother. That's cool, creepy. Haters to beat me, hate me, rape me, cook me up and eat me. Use me as a sacrifice. Mighty points of souvenirs that ain't right. It's all because they heard of who we are. Einstein knew we was God. He just put me to evasion. Because an item from this equation. I never change, remain the same. My respect for nature, my brain. Like American experience, it's the most traumatizing experience than any other human has ever experienced. TSS, RBPS, IP68, HF, and RBF, racial battle fatigue. How many times my family built because they can't see us on camera for us? And I see us saying, Master, help, imposter syndrome. Then they just never wanted to live. Just wanted our wealth, lazy, pathetic, inbreed, criminals, murderers, acting, straight out the ice age. On another masquerade, one purpose to divide and conquer. Most of us come from a fucking class. That'll work for return us back in there. Back then, even now, they still in bed. And I'm upgraded as I'm the best of the best. Can't keep us from thinking. On the cool, we got they keep thinking. No religion, sex addiction, food addiction, death addiction, substance, self-help addiction. We're trying to feel in what's missing. Our history, or maybe I'm tripping. All I know is that boy Jesus was fiction. If it ain't this, I'm Haru. If you heard that said again, it's Haru. I know who I am, so who are you? About the carved in stone came true. Scientific facts I made up like you. White folks was invented as a matter of law. Divide and conquer humanity. Protect and ensure the interests of the 1%. Leading to a person who's destructive. Killing the things who disruptive. Killers that beat us, fashions in public. Behind closed doors, we were stressing and hugging. And never babies I'm born into slavery. Till these things are done. Next free born to be done. Great big yes, for fun. Raise me just to come. Pressure high. If you wonder why you're not feminine, they used to break the biggest embarrassment. Well known all over the island. Cruise ships that you acting childish. Correct me if I'm wrong and I'm lying. Baby, stuck I'm out of bus while you trying. I can't think of a reason to try it. Like cigarettes, you force yourself to light it. Shows the color and the study. Understand this is not African history. This is something created with crossbreeding. Me in the doorway, their species. Even the hate folks looking from tree. Walking upright, everybody happy. Understand I am for you and you for me. I mean, it's a trap. That's kind of bad. My time on earth, me quit. 919, I ain't yet. Nigga drive, say, fire, real life, no artificial mix. Men getting pregnant shouldn't exist. No offense to other races, but this is for my ancient Egyptian. God came out and said, well, before a blessing comes out, you gotta taste, some difficulty so you can appreciate the blessing. After that experience, you will be renamed as a chosen race. So what God did was reveal this God about
Yes, indeed. How you doing, Eve?
Hey, Dr. Winters. Hold on.
I had to get the groove. I'm sorry. I had to listen to Yoshi because see, Gagut, the God theory, that is everything. That is everything. We are here as Black people because the fact in the sense is that if not for the master, if not for God, they would have been and killed us all. And now, no matter what we may want to believe, we have to really look at that. I mean, I'm here with you, you're here with me, and this is a beautiful time. It's a beautiful time because see, every time you look into the sky, every time you acknowledge who and what we are, you can see the future, and we're not that distant. Even though a lot of times we like to believe we're distant, we're not that distant. How you doing, Eve? Just Eve. How you doing?
I've missed you, Dr. Winters. I hated not being live with you last week, but you're here, and there's nothing you can do about it. I talked with Yoshi, and he said he had a chat with some people a little bit more on the elevation with the frequencies and whatnot, and they said they're not ready for you yet, buddy. So you got Wednesdays with me indefinitely.
Thank you. Well, the thing is this is that I enjoy talking with you, Eve, because see, the thing is this is that you bring relativity. You bring relativity here, because see, a lot family out there in the streets. How you doing, Prudy Naps? Understand in a sense is that you need all the way free. What up, though? The thing is this is that you need this reality. You need, in a sense, a reality check. And I think that's what we try to do every week. We try to bring reality check. We try to talk about a topic that is relevant, but it's also in a sense kind of deep. It's kind of hard to really imagine what's going on. But Eve, and plus I'm talking with a woman who runs the internet. I mean, she's the mistress of the internet. Yeah. Anyway, you know. But how things been going?
Things have been going. I like movement. I feel like stagnation is death in a very dark and deep way. So I like that business is booming, or at least we've got some new things coming uh, from the family for the family. I see that people have different things that they're doing too, and it makes me energized that they want to include me in the things that they're doing, and I think that that's cool. Um, the conversation tonight is so relevant because degrees of separation. I feel like everybody knows everybody, and then everybody knows nobody, because inside of our reality checks that we've been talking about, people don't really know me. They know what they think they know. They know what they want to know. They know whatever it is, but it's not necessarily me. And some of that stuff I'll be like, yeah, that's me, but it's not all me. And then some of that's I don't know where you got that from, or maybe I was feeling away that day. I don't know. Maybe they got the crunchy side of me that day. But
Is it
inside of
important? Is it
isn't it
important?
what their perception of me is?
Yes.
Yes and no. Because inside of everybody knowing everybody, it's like you never know who you're going to run into. Like people say you're supposed to do the good thing whether or not somebody's looking, right? But I mean, I don't even know if it's got to be that deep. I mean, you're either going to do the right thing or the wrong thing. Who cares who's looking? And then if you do care who's looking, then are you doing the right thing, or are you just doing it because somebody's looking? So
Now you,
inside,
now you, now that reminds me of a saying. I remember when I first years ago when I first took an ed psych class when I was trained to be a teacher at the University of Illinois back in 72. We were doing our practice student teaching, and then I had read what his philosopher said. You know what you know, but you don't know you know, but you know. And I thought that and that stuck with me, because see, the one thing that I've been wanting. Excuse me, family, forgive me, but I've been always wanting to know what goes on in 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 my woman's mind, my woman's head, in a woman's head, period. Because I felt that if I could understand where women are coming from, I could become a billionaire. Because see, when you think about the degrees of separation, you think about the fact that we know who we are. Okay. Sylvia Brown, years ago, she had talked about the fact that in the Crystal City, that's supposed to be the other side, heaven, whatever. And she was talking about that most of the time people live in a hostel, and they live in a house. And so then it may be a few thousand people in that house. And so then what she was saying is that most of the people that we come in contact with during our lifetime are people that come from our particular hospital on the other side. And that I know you know me. And the thing is this is that the reason that we know each other is because of the fact that we've had this experience at a different time. I remember when I read about Jesus Christ, and they were saying that on the other side you have multiple incarnations. In other words, even though you may it may be you in other places. For example, I believe that I've incarnated in many different times, many different spaces. Maybe many different races. But now I'm black, and I'm gonna be the blackety black that you ever did see. You know,
I
you know.
like I like that.
Well, you got to be for real. It's just like that's what makes Eve. That's what makes you just Eve. You see, when you say just Eve, people say, "Damn, what the." I can't cuss on TV. My son said a PhD shouldn't cuss, so I can't cuss, and I can't say PUSSY because those are words that intellectuals shouldn't say. So I can't say those words. I leave those for other people. But the point is this: is that when you just say just Eve, making you relative. That's making you relevant. Why did you decide on that name? How you doing, Brad Murray? The Doja of manhood. What up, though?
Oh,
What up? Why do you want to be called just Eve? Because
um, man, that's such a good question. And it's so funny because I feel like people are going to say, man, you just keep talking about that shit. No, it's just relative to my life. In real time, my social media presence was around someone who was claiming to be the authority on things. And I am not the authority on anything. I'm struggling being the authority on me most days. And I needed a separation between information sharing. Like I can't put that on me at all. I don't want anybody looking at me as an example as much as I have some experiences. Maybe you have some experiences. Maybe we can learn from each other, like that, versus I know everything or I know it all and listen to me. Like it was just very top heavy. So I'm just Eve. You're about to
That's deep.
that on me. But in real time, people will do what they want to do, right? We've talked about that even tonight. Just someone else's perception of you. It doesn't matter what you say because they already think they know you. They already have their view of you, and it could have been you didn't even know they were watching. They saw you at the grocery store one day and you had on pajama pants, and your hair was all tied up, and you looked like you just rolled out of bed. And then, now just Eve is just she don't care, but that was just a one-off. But you never know who's watching you, right? So then you asked, does it matter? And it does, but it doesn't. Because at the end of the day, you're gonna shine through if that was a real person and a real interaction. But some of these interactions aren't, I mean, they're real, but they're just like the fluff in the matrix, you know?
But I think that that's really interesting because see, I don't like to believe in reality. I don't like to believe in the sense that that everything is in stone. Me and my wife used to get into my baby doll. We used to get into a lot of arguments because the fact is that she wanted to say that there was no coincidence, and I wanted to be coincidence. Maybe there is no coincidence. I can't win, but maybe there is no coincidence. But I want to believe. I want to believe there's a coincidence. I want to believe that the day I met her when I was in high school and she was looking real fine and she had those beautiful legs and that hey, that was a coincidence. Because I was going to look for another girl named Diane, but she ended up being the one that I wanted to talk to. So it's crazy. And yet when you think about that we're separated, but we know each other. How you doing, MF Kush? And this is the crazy thing, Eve, is that if we really accept what Sylvia Brown said, that most of the people that we run into are people that we already know, that makes things a little crazy to me. I don't want to know I knew Eve. Oh, why? Because see, if I knew you, Eve, then how can you be just Eve?
That's a good question. Oh man.
Because you can't be just Eve if I knew you and if we knew you, but we didn't know we knew you. Come
Hmm.
on now.
Evolution in real time, naming ourselves. I like social media. Well, Facebook only lets you change your name like every 60 days or something like that. So, you can't just be doing whatever you want to do. But yeah, no, that's interesting. We all do already know each other because we come from a familiar place. And then however many times we've been here, maybe we've crossed paths a few times. I have that thought all the time, especially inside of like deja vus or in dream states, or I don't know which is real or if it's all just an amalgamation of what I already think and then what I've already experienced, which means that it is real, but it's not real because it's not really happening. But it did happen. Like degrees of separation. Which degree is where we're supposed to be? And then can you exist inside of a circle? Like, is that the shape that we're moving about in, or is it just an infinity plane and we just can do whatever? Because it seems more like an infinity plane where your wife says that she doesn't believe in coincidences. You want there to be coincidences, both and, because who knew that you were going to happen across her when you did at that time? And what if she had like really hairy, nasty legs and, something else about her brought you in, and then later you were like, oh, you got to do something about these hairy legs or something. I don't know, just whatever you were talking about her nice legs.
She had beautiful legs. How you doing now, Sandra? And love is always present. She had very beautiful legs. Because see, I was a television guy, and and they said certain actresses, had beautiful legs. And so I was always looking for beautiful legs. And then I saw my wife. She was in blue jeans and she was wearing skates. And this was an activity when I was in high school. So when she was skating in those legs, it looked so fantastic. All you're doing the dojo of manhood. And you know, Dojo, you're not my friend. You're not my friend. Dojo says, I'm on the doctor. Fuck coincidence. I don't believe in them. Something caused this event to occur. I want coincidence. Come on, Dojo, man. Oh, no, I want coincidence. You know, he just like we're here. Is that a coincidence? No,
Nope.
it's not a coincidence. I'd heard about you. I'd seen you. I'd heard you on organizing many things online. How you doing? Him and Nadi, all the way free. What up? And so then I said, damn, this is somebody I should try to talk to. You knew Dr. Short. I knew Dr. Short. Wait a minute. What are we going into? Degrees of separation. Dr. Short, where are you? You know, and so then, but again, like it wow, that is. I wanted to be a coincidence. Yeah, it was just a coincidence. You know, but no, I'd heard you, I'd seen you, and then I remember a couple of years ago, and you were talking to Professor Black, and then Professor Black said something I'll never forget, and he said, I don't normally do this, but I couldn't say no to you. Why is it Eve? Now I know the name Eve, you're the first woman, but why is it that we can't say no to you?
Oh, I don't know if it's that. I think that maybe in real time people understand the need for certain things, or they can appreciate someone's persistence. And like me and you meeting and talking could have been a coincidence if we had just let it happen. But in real time, we both know a go-getter, and just one inkling about the other means that it's going to happen. And then I just think about just origin stories, think, speak, do. You know, I wasn't here until I thought about it. And then once I thought about it, well, now I have a chance to make it happen. So if it all happens like that, then there are no coincidences, and everything comes to fruition because we go out.
You know, the dojo said that you can't say the dojo says that nobody can say no to you because you connect and you're authentic. Come on now, dojo. but it is true. But the thing is this, is that when we think about degrees of separation, we think about this whole idea of knowing someone and you don't know them. But I mean, I remember years ago, I was at this. I was buying a pizza, and so then for some reason before I said somebody's going to come and ask me for some food, so when I came out of Pizza Hut one day, this was back when I had bought this pizza, and so when I came out from Pizza Hut, this woman came up to me and said, "I'm hungry. Can I have that?" And I said, "Yeah." And I felt real good because I said, I know what. I said, lady, you must be from my hostel on the other side, and we have set this up. And I felt good because I felt that I had fulfilled something that had to happen. Because even though I didn't know her, I knew her. See, and that's the crazy thing. I mean, how often, family, have you ran into somebody and you said, I know that person. I know them. And then you say, well, where did we meet? And they'll say, I don't know. What do you think about that, Eve?
I think
that ever happened to you? I don't know.
Yeah, well, I find most of the time, sorry, thanks the dog. I think most of the time we have met them like in real life, but then the ones that you're talking about, those people that I've met before, I have not run across them again. And it's been so strange because meeting them that one time, and I don't remember I don't remember why they are so familiar to me. And then I haven't had the chance to dive into it because they're gone. I remember one time we caught a flat tire on the way home from the country. It's a long ride off of 58. And we pulled into this abandoned gas station and called AAA, and we're waiting. And in real time, it's like some suspicious people start circling where we are. And it's an abandoned gas station, me and my man and our babies. It's real weird. And then out of nowhere, this guy in a tow truck pulls up. It's like, you need help. And, so he helps us and we're on our way. 30 minutes later, AAA calls and they're like, we're here. And we thought that the guy was AAA, like he was familiar because he's supposed to be here, because we called AAA and they were sending someone out and somebody came out and everything was just exactly where it was supposed to be until we found out that none of that was what it was supposed to be, as much as maybe it was. Like, I don't know what that was, but I've never happened across this guy again. And it's not the only time where I've been very comfortable with how things are going, like familiar, and then it not being that later. And I don't
You
know what
know,
that is.
that's kind of scary though, because that means that okay, when we think about this whole idea of that we're separated but we're not separated, and you were in that you was in that situation where you needed help and somebody came. It's just like I've heard other people tell me stories about time that they've been rescued or something like that. So in a way, it's to know and not to know. I don't understand. I don't know how to put that in words. But sometimes you know someone, or you know something that has to take place, but it doesn't happen to you. I remember back in the bloody Halloween of '67, and when those bullets were flying past my head, and I saw my whole life come before me. What little life it was. Hell, I'm only 17, but I saw my whole life come before me, but then you still say, "Damn, you had that run in with death when you could have been hurt, like when you were at that gas station." And the thing is, this is that it's bad people out there, but sometimes they're not meant to really affect you at certain times. That's interesting to me.
I think so too. And then with what you just said about the hostel, I want to look into that a little bit more, because it's foreign to me, but sounds like something that could make sense. Because in real time, if we've already connected somewhere else and then we're not in this form somewhere else, then maybe it takes more to recognize someone from somewhere else. And then from there, man, that's some spooky talk, Dr. Winters. People don't even like to talk about the Bible. The people who like the Bible don't even like to talk about the spooky stuff in the Bible. And then you've got people who say, "Oh no, I'm not religious at all. I'm spiritual." But then in Kemet, they've got animal head people walking around and stuff so then it's a lot of just really strange conversations about origins. And I don't even know if that really matters as much as what you do now. And then I think the last time we talked about people's understanding of time. And I don't think we have any understanding of time, because
Mhm.
they fuck with the calendar so much. So, 2024 is not 2024 years. Like, that blows my mind, but people will tell you that it is.
Well,
People,
see,
go ahead.
that's because we've been taught the white man history. The white man history is we go from the past to the present. Then in Swahili you have Nana and Sasa, and that would be the now, and the future. But see, I see time as a circle. As a circle. You go around in a circle and you jump in at different times. I believe that very few people want to incarnate. I believe in the sense is that when if you read the Bible, the Bible talks as though this world is like a book, and if this world is like a book, we play certain roles in it. Because we had to play certain roles, and therefore, in a sense, we come on this plane and we play our role. Like right now, I'm a Dr. Clyde Winters, the historian. Maybe at another time I was something else. I like to tell my daughter's always trying to boss me around. And I tell her, I said, well, Mama, you're not Mama now. I'm the dad, so you're not playing that role. And so, but I feel in a sense because at one time, maybe in a recent incarnation, she felt in a sense she was my mom, so she feels she should still tell me what to do because she's carrying over from that other life, where she has to give up that other life and accept who and what I am. And so when you think about the separation between us, is that how far are we separated? When you think about it, when you look at time and you look at the fact that okay, we were, uh, as foundational Black Americans, many we were an enslaved people up until about 1865. Now in a sense, it's 2024. How long ago has that been? It hasn't been that long ago. I
Right.
remember back in the 70s, it was this guy, he was 125 years old, and he had lived life as a slave. And so then you develop certain ideas. Like I had developed this idea that how could you really be a slave and live a long time? And then I read stories of people who were enslaved people and they lived to get in their 80s. I said, damn, wait a minute. Why would you be allowed to be a slave into your 80s? I felt that shouldn't have happened. Because see, that's the whole point in being a man. As a man, as a man, as a man, you want to make everything be the way you want it to be. You know what I'm saying? I remember when I was teaching at this school, and so the kindergarten teacher used to say, "Dr. Winters, I like to talk to you, but I don't like to talk to you." I said, "What do you mean?" She said, "Well, you're a man, and you're easy to talk to, but you're still a man." I said, "What are we talking about?
Oh,
I
I know
know
what
I'm a
you're
man,
talking about.
and you're a woman, but what are you talking about?" She said, "Well, as a man, you men always want to solve everything. I don't want a solution, Dr. Winters. I just want to say something to you and I want you to just listen. Why can't you just listen?" I said, "Well, if you say something that seems like it's a problem, then I feel I'm supposed to help you to get through it." And then she said, "Well, see, that's how men think, but that's not how women think. Why can't I think like you, Just Eve?"
See, I take offense to that whole entire argument because I that's me, and I think it's not fair to say it's a man woman thing when we've learned to that you can be solution oriented or solution based in your thinking or problem solving. And maybe it is a masculine trait. Maybe, sure. I'm not saying that it's not. What I am saying is that I do not like whining, crying, bitching, moaning, groaning. I don't like that. I want to figure out why. Why are you crying? Like I guess how a mom would when the baby is crying in the beginning. It's a couple different cries: the wet cry, the hungry cry, the sleepy cry, the angry cry, the angry cry. You start hearing differences in their speech because that is how they're talking at that point. From there, they can articulate. Well, you should be teaching them how to articulate in more than just sounds. From there, I don't know if a lot of people got what they needed to get because maybe people were too busy just listening to them whine. I won't say any other words because it's not nice. And all the time, people keep telling me I'm not being mean. I mean, I'm being mean, and I'm just Eve. But Dr. Winters, I don't like the groaning. However, as a woman, I guess I understand the need for an outlet. You want to be able to vent. So I tell my friends, here, your caveat, if you want to bitch to me, sorry, I did it. If you want to complain to me, just let me know that that's what you like in the beginning before Eve, I need to talk, something's wrong, but I just need to vent. Okay, now I don't even have to think about a solution because you just want to just let it out. But that was like a whole big girl conversation I had to have with friends because they were so mad at me about not letting them just vent. And I didn't understand what the problem was because, like you said, if there's a problem, why can't we fix it? Because then you won't be bitching about it anymore. We can move on to something else. But in real time, women don't want to hear that their man is a problem. They just want to complain about him and then, move on to something else. And that's the same with most things that they're complaining about. Not that they want to fix it, but it just didn't happen how they wanted it to happen in the moment. And they want to be able to vocalize that, I guess. And I don't think there's anything wrong with that, right?
I don't see anything wrong with that, but I think it's much more complicated. I remember years ago. How you doing, Marsha Byron, and CCCC? I think it's more complicated. I remember years ago, I used to go to my grandmother's house a lot. They used to live on. I grew up. I lived on 47 in Prairie. Then we moved to 47 in Evans. And so when we moved to 47 in Evans, I could walk all the way to Woodlawn because my grandma used to live in Woodlawn. And Woodlawn was near the University of Chicago. You know, back in the day, a lot of times around universities, black people could move around universities, and because they looking for somebody to clean their houses. And so I remember I was over my grandma's house, and my auntie was there. She lived with my auntie and my uncle, and so she was crying. And I said, "Oh wow, hey Mabel, why are you crying?" She said, "Clyde, just wait." So she cried a little while. They said, "Okay," and then I said, "Well, why were you crying?" She said, "I'm just a woman, and I was crying because I wanted to cry. It's not that I'm upset. It's nothing that should bother you, but then I wanted to do this. But see, what you're telling me, Eve, is that yes, we're separated because I don't understand everything that goes on with a woman, but you're saying that that's kind of bitchy. So I don't understand. She said it's just normal. You're saying it's bitchy. Just Eve, tell me, because you're just Eve.
Eve. Look, I'm trying to tell you, this is my thought. I think that people should be allowed room to vent because we don't know it all. And in real time, we're expected to know it all. Whatever it is that you're doing in your big age as an adult, whatever you did, your decision, self-inflicted, accept all responsibility for the good and the bad, but that's you supposing to know what the fuck you're doing. And then in real time, you fucked up. You didn't do it the right way. It didn't happen how you want it to happen. And you need to vent, or you need, you need that outlet. And I get it. However, I personally, I don't like to talk so much about that stuff because if there's no solution, then we're just going to keep bitching about it. And that's what keeps happening. People don't get a solution for this problem that they don't have because they just want to vent. Yes, lots of air quotes, because I don't really believe them when they say, I just want to vent. But if we're venting about this every week, then maybe you want a solution. Or maybe they don't want the solution from you. Maybe they're waiting to get it from somewhere else. Or maybe you haven't told them what they want to hear. And then that's a whole other conversation.
In other words, what you're saying is that sometimes people want to choose a solution. Sandra Hinton said, "Don't complain, fix the problem." And maybe the problem is them. That's a good way to look at it. But then, Natty says that, yeah, sometimes being a good friend is just listening without needing to talk. And this is something that I think is very interesting because, see, from what my colleague used to tell me, is as a man we won't let women just talk. We got to always intervene. We got to always, in a sense, be there to find a solution. But the point is this: is that maybe there is no solution. When I played football, and I would miss a tackle, and then damn, I would try to get up and catch up with the guy. Sometimes I caught him, sometimes I didn't. But the whole point is this: is that that's relative. But how do you make whole something that's broken? How do you make whole something that's broken? Yeah, you might say, okay, well, that's not really broken, because just because you missed the tackle and that person got a touchdown and now you look, you don't look bad because they don't even know it, because maybe you were all bunched up. But now if you were a cornerback or a linebacker, somebody caught a pass over you, then you feel that people are pointing out to you that you're a failure. How do we get over that? Because, see, yes, we're separated because of the fact we may think a different way. We're separated because of the way we're brought up. We're separated because of the way, in the sense that we feel we've been conditioned, or we conditioned ourselves. Because I know a lot of times Your family tries to teach you to be a certain way, whereas your peers intervene and they teach you another way. It's very hard because even though we're separated, we always want to feel whole. And sometimes we don't feel whole unless we are part of the majority, you know.
That's rough because if everybody jumps off of a cliff, or Dr. Winters and Eve also jumping off the cliff, and I think that I'm gonna just look at y'all at the bottom of the cliff, and maybe I don't even want to be on that cliff because that's just gonna be a real sad sight to see. A bunch of bodies at the bottom of this cliff, stupid motherfucker. Let me let me not. But I think that the isolation thing, people use that to make people move in directions that they didn't necessarily think they were going to go, so they can't be separated. And like what you just said about our families, if you have come into consciousness, whoever you are, because let's just be real, lots of people across the world, hey Sandra, lots of people across the world are saying that they are woke and awake, and they know what's going on and fight the power, and they understand all of this stuff. So how they were brought up is not necessarily how they're living their lives. Inside of that, peer pressure. I've had many a conversation with my former white colleagues who have been on the Democrat side and the Republican side. And when they find out that I don't fuck with either one of those things, oh, they're so mad. Both of them on both sides of the fence are so mad at me because my ancestors died for the right. And I'm like, let's talk about some degrees of separation. Like, I don't think we're talking about the same. I don't think we're having the same conversation right now, because you want this and you want that, and neither one of y'all want what I'm talking about. So why would you be mad that I haven't chosen one of these options? But they say that we're all in this together, and if you don't choose, then treason, separation, separated. You blacks fought so hard to be with us, and then I'm like, I don't know if we're having the same conversation. But what you said earlier is so true. What we've learned, their story, their version of events, or their pet's version of events is not necessarily all of the information. And when you get all of the information, it's like, okay, well, if we didn't really fight to be with y'all as much as we were fighting to have equal access to resources, those are two totally different conversations. I never wanted to be sitting next to you in class as much as if you got the newest books, I want the newest books too. It's two different conversations, right? But we're all in this together, but we're all learning different shit. So we're all separated, but in this together.
It's crazy, but you brought up this whole idea that we're separated, but at the same time, we're separated, but at the same time, people want to make you join them. You either have to join one party or the other. I'm not just talking about the Democratic or the Republican. I'm talking about groups of people. Everybody wants you to be with them, and so then, and then if you don't see everything the way they see it, then therefore, in a sense, you're a coonin or you're a raccoon. And I was just thinking about the fact is that it's how and when can you be you? When can you be you? And I think that we're going back to how this began when we first began this discussion. And you talked about the fact, in a sense, is that people always know who you are. They know what you're about, but they never know who you are and what you're about. I used to. It's a picture by this artist, and in this picture, it's a picture of a woman, and she's nude, and you can see her breasts and all that through in the mirror, and she's holding her comb and she's just sitting there, and to me, I love that picture because that picture is what I used to think about my baby doll. Is that I used to want what's going on in her mind, what's going on in her mind, and that's not really right, but why is it that sometimes we want to invade that other person's mind when really it's good you don't know. They may be saying you dirty mother, you're just a piece of ish and all that, and they might be smiling at you and thinking you're terrible, you're no good, you something should be done about you, and yet in a sense you still have this. I don't know. Maybe you're different from me, but you're still wondering what's going on. I don't wonder what's going on in my kid's mind. I don't wonder what's going on in everybody else's mind. But sometimes when I used to see my wife and she would be contemplating, and I would wonder what is going on there. Because see, I think that we're separated. Yes, we're always separated. And even when you have a partner that you really care about, you still feel a point of separation because you feel that you don't know everything they feel. They can't feel everything you feel to the degree you feel something. And yet at the same time, you always want to bring them closer. And you want to in a sense, you want to be you want to be, how can I say it? You know, it's just like if you've ever had really a good sexual experience when you felt that you were in them and they were in you. I can't explain it because see some
I got
birds.
you. I got you. Look, Dr. Winters, as you were saying that, I knew you were going to go there, and I have such a benign example of what you're talking about. I think what you're talking about with your wife is love. I think it's love in what we've talked about. Love is a state of being. And what I mean by that is if she were smiling and she didn't say out loud what she was smiling at, you want to know, I want to smile too. If she laughed, I want to laugh too. And then sometimes we get and be around the right person, and then you don't have those questions anymore because you just know. And in real time, my back will itch. You have itch when your back, scratch back or whatever. And I'll say, my back itches. And he knows exactly where the fuck I'm talking about. And I don't have to say where. It's just the craziest thing. And so then I'm like, you're in my head. And that's a good time to be in my head. But in real time, if I'm in my thoughts and he's looking at me like you, trying to figure out what's going on, and I might not even know that he's trying to figure out what's going on in my head or why I'm quiet right now or whatever, but I don't know. Those are my thoughts right now. And not that I don't want to share them, but if I wanted to, I guess I'd be talking out loud, right? And then maybe sometimes we quiet.
That is absolutely true, and that's why when I think back to those times, I would try to make sure I didn't let my wife know that I was looking at her because I wouldn't want her to know that I was wondering, because the fact in the sense is that there's separation, but there's no separation, but there's separation,
Mm-hmm.
and see, then we go back to what I originally found in that ed psych class that but you don't know but you know but
Mm-hmm.
you know, and that's the whole point. But then what about back in the day? You had a girlfriend or a boyfriend, and you said, "Damn, I know this girl cares about me. She likes me." And so you say what but you don't know. But then you find out that she didn't really like you or he didn't really like you, and that somehow you two didn't have that connection. Somehow there was no connection, and yet why did I feel there was a connection when the separation was real? You see, and that how do you in a sense be able to understand these relative feelings? I mean, have you ever been with a group of people and when it starts off, you and the girls, or you and the guy say, "Oh wow, this is cool. We like it. It's real fun." And then after a while, you say, I don't. There's nothing wrong with these people, but I don't like hanging around them. Has that ever happened to you? And you want to kind of, slowly move away?
Um, I think that I know what you're talking about, but that's a real life everyday occurrence for me. Um, I'm a scapegoat into the ambivert section of life, extrovert, introvert, whatever. But no, in real time, I want to be able to go, and it doesn't matter. I could love you to death. If it's time for me to go, I want to be able to leave. And I'm sorry. I try to say bye to everybody before I go. I used to just dip out, and I think that's rude. But with what you're talking about, being around a group of people, and then you kind of uh, not move on, but kind of move apart, and not even move apart because you're not living with these people. You're choosing to hang out with them, but every time you go hang out, maybe the conversation is stale. To me, or in my situations where we've things got stale, it's because we're not really on the same shit. And maybe we really liked something and we thought that we could use that to across all of, different environments. So for example, maybe you like bowling, and then you find out that you're at the bowling alley and this person that's bowling next to you, they like bowling too. Okay, cool. And then you try to take that bowling relationship somewhere else, and you find that, oh shit, we're not compatible here at all. No, I don't like what you're talking about. I don't like what you're eating. You smoke, like whatever it is. People start tallying up, their reasons for why they want to be around this person. And if it's something that they really like, then they'll excuse the other stuff. But if it's just, this is something I do, I don't have to bowl. I don't have to go when they go, or whatever. I'm gonna go bowl. You be there or not be there, or whatever. You start just doing whatever it was that you were doing before you met them. And again, it's not that y'all broke up as much as you weren't really compatible, and then you tried to force it. And people do that because they want to be connected. They don't want separation. They want to be friends with their coworkers. And then sometimes people want to sleep with their coworkers, because you're around them all the time. So then it's like, well, why not? I'm with this person 8 hours a day. I'm with them more than I'm with anybody else. So that makes sense. There's no separation. But that's work. Work is work. Home is home. If you go bowling, that should be there. And maybe there is somebody who can travel across the different environments or things that you like to do inside of your life. But then maybe that's like your person, like your baby doll or my man. We do many things with this person and not get tired or bored with them, or are always fascinated by them across all of these different places. And then other people, it's like, I see you at work on Monday. I'm happy to be around you at work because you don't make work sucky, but I'm gonna leave you here at work because compartmentalized. But then, as I said that, I feel like me and you talked about that too. You'd be friends with someone, and then when you don't work with them anymore, now we're not friends anymore. Or were we really
Sometimes.
friends?
But I think you've broken it down though, is that when you talked about when you were bowling and you go bowling and you like this person, but then while you guys are bowling, then you move in, you turn the conversation into another direction, and then it seems as though that they're not fit for that different direction. And I think that's why sometimes when you leave a job, you worked on jobs when you went to college, you may have had a roommate that you really got along with great, and you might be friends the next 40 or 50 years. And then again, in a sense, there's other people who you meet, in a sense, they don't really touch you like that. So I think that it's very hard. And this whole idea is that we're separated, yet we're unified. I think this is something that deserves a lot more attention. And I think that we shouldn't really I think, judge people too harshly, and really give up on people. Like the other day, I was out of town, and so then I was with my son and his wife. And so they took me out to they took I took them out to dinner, to celebrate my son's birthday. And then they took me out, and then they took me around to different places. And so then I was thinking later, I said that what makes a vacation good is when you're with somebody who's your partner and you have a connection with. You know what I'm saying? And
Yeah.
that even though you can be having fun, it seems as though you may not be having as much fun as you would have if you were with your partner, like they're with their partner. It's not the same in the sense that it's anything negative, but it's this whole idea of realizing that there are degrees of separation. But what we want to do is that in all of our relationships, we want to, in a sense, be able to 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 have some relativity. We want to be able, in a sense, to be able to cross that barrier and be much more unified. I think that's very important. How you doing, Shawara Insight?
Hey, um, I I think that that's real because in real time you want to be able to celebrate your son. It's his birthday, and we're having a good time as a family. But in real time, the love that's being shared, he's with his wife. There,
Yeah.
you're not with your wife. See that separation, boom,
And
off the bat.
and I love the hell out of them because I have five sons and one daughter, so their wives are like my daughter. And so then when we were talking, I said, so we were out and we were at the restaurant, and then she said, "Pops, look at him, look at him, look at him, look at him, look at him." And she kept pointing at my son, said, "Look at him, look at him, look at him, look at him." And then she said, "See how content he is? That's me." I said, "What?" You know, and I said that was beautiful. It was beautiful that see that's the problem with people who are like with Kevin Samuels and the business quote unquote black authority. These men who have never had a real relationship. These men who have never had a real relationship, they don't understand that the thing that makes a woman important, what a woman brings to the table, is not her body. What a woman brings to the table is not necessarily her beauty. What a woman brings to the table is that she makes you feel happy or she makes you feel content. And I think because of the fact that these guys don't really know how to relate to women, they've never really had a real relationship in which they were open. You see, most of the time as a man, I used to tell my daughter all the time, I said, if you want to run a man away from you, make that man talk to you about himself. Make that man talk to you and tell you how he feels about this. And the more you try to make that man talk to you about how he feels, after a while he's gonna take some hat because he's not gonna want to let you get inside of him. And I found like people like Kevin Samuels or the black authority in the business, these people, how can they tell you how to have a great relationship when they've never had a great relationship? Because they had a great relationship, they wouldn't be so hateful about the opposite sex, or they wouldn't be so afraid to give of themselves. Because see, whenever you've been in a great relationship, you don't mind sharing, you don't mind being weak, you don't mind being weak sometimes. You
Hmm.
see, and see, most men don't want to be weak, but you don't mind being weak when you've been in a great relationship because you were weak to that person and that person was weak to you. And that's what allowed you to be who and what you are, you see.
That is deep, and I get it. Especially with what you said to your daughter. You want to run a man away. You go keep picking at him, and he's not gonna want to be there.
No, just
Especially
make him talk. Make him talk. You don't want to talk.
about himself, right?
Yeah.
Right. But the right one will accidentally slip and tell you stuff. And then if you're the right one, then you're listening and paying attention. And now you've remembered something that he didn't even mean to say out loud. And oh shit, she got me, or something like that. And then in real time, if if those men that you talked about have never had a successful relationship, then yeah, it would be strange to be so do it this way out of context. My biggest thing is that most people are not honest, Dr. Winters, about most shit. And then from there, if they were, we would be a more functional society. For example, if you want to be a man who doesn't have a wife, you want to be a man who has multiple women, then okay. But maybe you want multiple women because there's a reason. Like you need someone who's super focused on health, and you need one who's super focused on wealth. And, women, so much stuff going on up here, can't be so multitasking. I need her to really be focused on health because if I fall down, I need her to help me get up. And this one, money thing. And I feel like that would be a more honest conversation than just telling men you want to try to bag all these women. But maybe that's what they want to do and they just don't understand the cost. It would be expensive to have people are hearing things that shimmer. How do you hear a shimmer? That's crazy to me. But in real time, 2 + 2 = fish. Shout out to Dojo of Manhood. Because that's the math that I keep hearing when people are saying, do it my way or do it how I say do it out of context. If you saw 100 relationships and they all look like this, and you said, do it this way because it works. But then you don't say, empirically, I saw 100 relationships, they all did it like this, and that's why you should do it like this. Because you can't say that. Everybody's different. Exactly that one smidgen off makes it not the same way. Or, just people accepting love differently. Maybe you just ran into 100 of the right ones. But I doubt it that 100 people did it the same way and got the same result. Because you can do it the same way with people and get many different results. Because we're not so structured like that. We're very organic and wavy and energy and frequencies and stuff. We can do many different things or not,
But,
which
but
is
don't
infinity.
you think it's certain? Don't you think it's certain frequencies that allow us to interpret maybe well men are this way, women are that way, and don't you think that there are certain frequencies that we may have that we may in a sense project?
Sure, all the
That,
time, especially if it's coming from like a negative. I don't see a lot. People like to say, "Oh, you're an optimist or you're a pessimist," but in real time, I don't think people know what those words mean. Because if they did, then they would realize that their energy is affecting their quality of life, and then maybe they wouldn't be so blissfully ignorant and then or angry all the time because
but they say ignorance is bliss.
yeah, if you don't know that you keep driving down this road, it's going to end off a cliff because the music's nice and the company is good. And yeah, it's a good time. Now you're dead because you didn't know that the road was going to end off of a cliff, but you had a good time
But
going
but,
off the cliff.
but we've been conditioned. You've been conditioned that if a man's got money, that's the type of man you should maybe want. You should maybe be interested in. I've been conditioned if you got a big booty and a smile, I should be interested in you. I mean, how do we move away from some of this conditioning? Well, let's take a little break and we'll come back. Is it okay?
Of course.
Okay. Today is the day. We need to homeschool our children due to white supremacy. In many states, education departments are passing laws to deny our children from learning the history of foundational Black Americans. Today, you can learn how to organize and teach your children in a homeschool in my book, A Guide to Homeschool Foundational Black Americans. You can use my book, History of Blacks in America from Prehistory to 1877, to teach our children their history here in the United States. You can use my book to teach world history. And this book I've written is called The World History of the Black World. This will teach your children about every Black civilization in the world. Get this book. The time is now. Get these books to teach your children about their greatness, to prevent them from losing confidence in their own ability to learn and be successful future adults in employment and education.
What's up, everybody? It's Eve. What's up, everybody? It's Eve. Follow me on Twitter and YouTube for space recordings and special live programs. 2024, we're doing things a little different if you haven't peeped game by now. So yeah, this is your chance. You can do it now if you want. Hit the bell here on YouTube at JustEveB, or find me on X at Justice4Just Us. That's JUSTICE 4 JUST_US. And if you feel so inclined, support my channel and the work we do over here. The Cash App and Patreon links are in the description. Black first.
G-I-J, comma J equals 0. Well, now, G-I-J, comma J equals 0. Hey, now, say it loud, louder and loud, let us all celebrate. G-I-J, comma J equals 0. Hey, now, G-I-J, comma J. We no beg, steal, or borrow. We bury Jim Crow under the ground. And we no dig him up. This is the black man's time. Yes, this is the black man's time. Say it loud, I'm black and I'm proud. Hey, yes, I'm here to let you know.
Buy my book, Nationality and the Law. In this book, we discuss the importance of race and identity among many African Americans. I explore the genesis of the so-called blacks from an ethnogenesis of Black Irish, Black Aboriginals, and Sub-Saharan Africans. In this book, you will understand how they were separated into two races and why we call, in a sense, the Caucasian race the white race today. Buy my book, The Nationality and the Law. You'll enjoy it. What up, though? We're back.
Real
And,
quick, first commercial, it was low. Can you play that one again? Because I don't know that they heard it. The first one.
The first one,
It was the volume was low.
I don't know how I can. It was probably because let me see. Today is today. We need to homeschool our children due to white supremacy. In many states, education departments are passing laws to deny our children from learning the history of foundational Black Americans. Today, you can learn how to organize and teach your children in a homeschool in my book, A Guide to Homeschool Foundational Black Americans. You can use my book, History of Blacks in America from Prehistory to 1877, to teach our children their history here in the United States. You can use my book to teach world history. And this book I've written is called The World History of the Black World. This will teach your children about every Black civilization in the world. Get this book. The time is now. Get these books to teach your children about their greatness, to prevent them from losing confidence in their own ability to learn and be successful future adults in employment and education. A lot of people keep saying that everything is too low. I'm sorry. I don't know how to turn it up. I'm not the whiz with this stuff. How you doing, Team Zulu? And how you doing, Tones 5? What up, though?
What
Again,
up?
again, in a sense, I'm sorry. I can just do what I can do.
It's okay. I want to try to fix that for you because they need to. That commercial is super important. The education aspect. This month for New Black Media Appreciation Month, I really hope that people are showing you some appreciation in the for the reasons, many reasons. But you make it a point to educate us when you don't have to. It is a thankless role, and well, thank you for doing that because you really could have just been like, man, I got 6 kids. I need to do something that makes sense. These niggas don't care.
But the thing is this: when you're the most hated man on the internet, you want to do this. See, a lot of people they think I just came out. I've been on these internet streets for years, for at least since 2000, 2008, 2002. And see, people, a lot of people, they hate the fact is that they can't argue with me. And the reason they can't argue with me is that I've done so much research that all they can do is that they can make a post and they can say something negative, but then they'll run away. They're not going to try to debate with me because the fact is that I've done so much research. I learned so many languages that they can't fight, but at the same time, you just don't understand. Years ago, this white woman, she wrote and she said, stop making me feel hurt. Stop making me feel lost. Stop making me feel I don't have a history. And what I told her is this: is that because I concentrate a lot on ancient history. I can do geopolitics. That's what I really love, but I don't do that here. But the thing is, what I told her, I said, is that I can't help it if the Greeks and the Romans said that black people were the greatest of mankind. Now, Dorvell, he's a wonderful researcher, and he has sent me this new paper written by this dude called Battisti. And Battisti says that the word Ethiop does not mean black faces. It means the brilliant ones, because it means the shiny ones. And that really, in a sense, we've been having the wrong definition. I think that when they put Ethiopian, that does mean the black ones, because the thing is this: is that black people, the Egyptians, they call themselves Khmer because they call themselves the black, and I think that's because of our relationship. That's because of our relationship. Because see, I know for a fact, as a historian, I know that we wouldn't be here as black people if it wasn't for the Creator. I know that we wouldn't be here because, see, the thing is this: what is critical race theory? Number one, the white man hates you. Number two, the white man wants to kill you. Yes, he wants to kill you. Number three, he created a race called racism, and in this race, due to white supremacy, he has to make sure that he always wins the race. And so then, therefore, in a sense, I know that since he hates me, he wants to kill me, and that he set a race that we cannot win, and yet we still win. What the hell is this? Somehow we not only win, somehow we succeed. What is this? You want to kill me, but I'm still here, and I outnumber you. So I mean, there must be some order, and there must be something that makes us different. And what makes us different is that, remember, when you're FBA, you're the products of the Black Irish chattel slaves, the Black Aboriginals who were made slaves, and in a sense, the Black Sub-Saharan Africans who were made slaves. So we went through an ethnogenesis. What I mean by that is that in reality, Eve, we're the new Egyptians. We're the new Egyptians because look at what we've done. We made the computer work. We made the cell phone work. We made the resistor. We did the first heart surgery. We made paper invention, toilet paper. I don't have to crinkle up newspaper anymore like I did when I was a kid. So then, because of the fact, in the sense that we have this ability, And because of our ethnogenesis, Black Irish, Black Aboriginal, Black Sub-Saharan African, that means that we've got all this knowledge from all these sources. And so just think of this. Think of this, Eve. You know, we're separated because men and women think different. And yet at the same time, we run into people and say, I know you. Why do I know you? Because there's something there. But then look at this. We have 300,000 years of knowledge. But we have 300,000 years of knowledge. But remember, we left Africa and we went all over the damn place. And although we went all over the place, being FBA, you know, we were already had the Black Aboriginals here. Then they brought the Black Irish. Then after they brought the Black Irish and the Aboriginals, then they brought the Sub-Saharan Africans. And so through an ethnogenesis, that means a combination of all of these ethnic groups. That's why we dominate the world today. That's why world culture is FBA culture. The music, you see. Sometimes even the food. You know, the language. Every time we make up new words, they get it because even though we're separated, you know, in America, because of it, in a sense, that ethnogenesis, that ability to combine those three populations that allow us to have three forms of knowledge makes us, in a sense, an interesting people. I don't know. What do you think about that?
I love our story. And you're right. We do have a unique story. And it's unique to us, but it's not foreign to others because of oppression, because of the race that you just talked about, racism, white supremacy being this global domination sport of sorts. And inside of that, you can participate as a spectator or you can participate as a player. And then, like you said, we've been dominating on the board that we're not even supposed to be able to pass go. We're not even supposed to be able to start playing. Like they pass the ball in and we're supposed to just stay there,
Right.
not even come off the bench. But in real time, the impossible happens. And I think that without all of the knowledge that you have, it makes sense that if we are an amalgamation of multiple different origin stories, not the original origin story, but just our more recent ancestry. You know, people want, this is unrelated but kind of related, when people pray, they want to pray to like the Orishas or like to like some famous god or something really big, when in real time your actual family is energy that you can tap into right now. And not that you can't tap into the other energies, but maybe there is an order like you were talking about. So then you take your 300,000 years of information that we already have and put it with people who experienced different things at different times. And I feel like maybe we're like lichens or something, you know, like we're werewolves, vampire, you know, we are just this hybrid thing, or Egyptians 2.0 or Kemetic 2.0, because not the Egyptians, they are a bastardized version of something that used to be great. And then from there, degrees of separation, we all know each other already. And then how do I know we all know each other? Because when you meet somebody you don't like them, and it's not because you knew them, it's just something about them you didn't like. And maybe it's because they like 2-ply toilet paper and you like the tissue pillow soft 4-ply, you know, and you went to their house one time and had to take a bathroom situation. And man, if that wasn't just some shit, right? And but you know, and it's nothing super big. You know, people say, I don't know, I don't like that person, and they treat them really bad. No, it's, you don't have to do that either. You can just respect the energy tap. You know, something tapped you and maybe you need to move differently, or maybe pay more attention.
But you're scary. You're scary. See, you're scary, Eve. You're scary. You know, but I'm going to explain to you why you're scary. You are an FBA woman, I believe.
Yes.
Because the fact in the sense is that you're an FBA woman and you have all of this. See, it's one thing to be from Africa and you got your African ancestry, Okay. Then in a sense you come from the Caribbean. You got in a sense you went through an ethnogenesis, but because of the fact that you don't know your history in the Caribbean, then therefore in a sense you don't know who you are. And since you don't know who you are, then therefore all you can do is just go through life always feeling inferior to everybody. But see, when you're an FBA person, because of the fact in a sense that you do know your history, you do know what you're made of, that gives you in a sense the ultimate coming true, the ultimate coming true. In other words, the ultimate blackness. You see, it's not to be racist, it's not to delineate, it's not to in a sense make it appear as though you're someone different, but you are unique. And your uniqueness, Eve, comes from the fact is that your ancestry is not just in Africa. Your ancestry is a combination, and you're able to realize your ancestry. See, it's one thing in a sense to have an ancestry, but it's another thing when you not only have the ancestry, but you're able to absorb it, to interpret it. You see, and see that's what makes you scary. That's why a lot of people, in a sense, when they hear about Just Eve, and they know Just Eve is on Instagram, or Just Eve is doing a talk-in, or Just Eve is helping promote somebody else. These other men, they think that they're on top of the world. No, you make them on top of the world because you bring the people to them. And they don't even know it. They think they're attractive. They're not attractive. Ish. Ish. Just Eve. Just Eve.
That is humbling. Thank you. It's rewarding to know that work isn't going unnoticed, but in real time, it's not for any attention as much as if I believed in something, then I want it to be successful. And I think that is the FBA woman. So it kind of goes back to what you were talking about earlier with people giving relationship advice, not actually having a relationship of their own to glean from. And it's not that you can't learn from other people's experience, because that is why I even talk to people online. Not because I know it all, not because they know it all, but you know stuff and I know stuff, and we're not all going to have the same experiences. And I shouldn't have to go through some of that stuff, nor should you have to go through some of my stuff to be able to get to somewhere else. Maybe learning about what I went through means that you never go through it. Or
We would hope.
Right. But and then if you do, then maybe you have a play because somebody else went through it and talked to you about it. Or, people like to hide solutions and then you have to come to me for it. So in real time, lots of separation. But what we were talking about with the FBA woman, I feel like we are an echo, and we echo, we echo what we feel. And if the man is on what we feel, then it's a very powerful sound to the extent of you wanted to know what your woman was thinking, and not just your woman, but all women, because you would be a billionaire, trillionaire, whatever. That is where the money is. If you can get into our head, for sure. Same argument. If all the Black women in America pointed their nagging towards the White House and our reparative justice, I believe they'd cut the check immediately. So they don't want that type of heat. But, we got all sorts of different things that we want to focus and talk about. So our man, whatever he's working on, we don't have to bring more than us, because we're a battery for y'all. Same way that y'all can charge us up too. It's a reciprocal relation, or it should be. Sometimes it's one-sided.
Most of the time is one-sided, because most of the time somebody has to give in. But the thing is this, is that most Black men, they fail. Most Black men fail because they don't understand that your woman can make it so you can have anything you wish, anything you desire. See, the Black woman, because of the fact in the sense that you're the mother goddess, because the fact in a sense, especially when you know who you are. So you're okay as a humble woman out there. You're okay as long as you can be humble. And that's how most black men like it. Most men like their women to be humble because when you're humble in a sense, then therefore you make the man feel safe. You see, you make the man feel safe. But see, when you're in your natural place, see, when you're in your natural place, you are a creative force. And because of the fact that you're a creative force, then you create whatever your man wants to have. But see, most men don't know that. That's why most men, in a sense, are unhappy. And that's why most men fail in relationships. And that's why most men, in a sense, sometimes never really reach their ultimate potential. And they fail to reach their ultimate potential because they don't know that they need that other side of them. There's always a yin and a yang. And they need, in a sense, to be structured in a way that you're separated but you're unified. And see, that's the whole problem, is that see, people are just separated. And because they're just separated, they fail to understand. When you were talking earlier about the math just don't add up, and you're a mathematician. But sometimes the math doesn't add up. And the math doesn't add up sometimes when we fail to recognize that although we're separated, there's things that unify us. And we should look towards bringing greater unification between ourselves. And that often when some men feel that humility is the best way to focus, that's not always the right thing to do, you see. And this is interesting. And the dojo says, I'm confused. Are you saying most men don't succeed because they don't have a woman? Yes. Most men don't succeed because they don't have a woman. They may, in a sense, be able to perform and do certain things in life, but most of the time, in a sense, what do they accomplish? Because see, the key accomplishment in life is what? The key accomplishment in life is to find a woman who can submit to you. And if that woman submits to you, what that woman does in a sense is that she gives you, your progeny. She gives you your child. And because she gives you your child, she carries on your name. Because she carries on your name, then you can see that. For example, my wife, my baby doll, she gave me 6 children, 5 boys and 1 girl. And so then now that she's not with me, you know, I can sometimes in a sense, you know, feel lonely, but I'm not alone because I have in my children, I have in my children my wife. You see, and not only that, but when I see my children happy, that can make me happy. See, and so then therefore, a man in a sense who doesn't have a woman, who didn't in a sense be able to cross that path, because see, remember, even Michael Jackson, he said, it, you have to have some children. You have to have some children to be a real man. You have to be that man in the mirror. And before you can look at that man in the mirror, you need a woman in a sense to be able to show that you're really worthy.
I like that part. The submission too, because well, I guess it further reiterates what you were saying about how most men want us to be humble because then they're safe. And then if we're submitting too, then it's the humility aspect. And then from there, if you can't get a woman to submit to you, well, then maybe you ain't a man. I don't know. But in real time, you'll have high value influencers telling you that, if you can't do this, that makes you not a man. I like what Dr. Winters was saying about the progeny aspect, because my thought, as just Eve, we are born perfectly inside of all of our imperfections, and we have a role or a job to do. You eat, poop, shit, whatever, pee. You also have a biology that means that you can make more of you. And if you don't do that, then maybe you haven't lived to your fullest potential of why you're here. But Dr. Winters, people will say, Eve, what about the people who can't have kids? I think that's like a side conversation. Most
They
people,
do have kids. They do have kids.
they do. They do. But sometimes people don't appreciate what that legacy does. And it's probably because they didn't have anything passed down to them. And then that's our plight as a foundational Black American, as a native Black. They've paper genocided us to death. So our story is disconnected. Maybe your family records was in a library that got burnt down, or something like that, where you don't know how you got to your wonderful place in time right now. But if your parents, grandparents, great grandparents didn't have you, you wouldn't be here. And not you, but you're only here because of that legacy thing, that making more of what made sense.
And see, but you don't have to have a natural child. Think about that auntie and that uncle. That auntie and that uncle who loved you just as much as your parents. That auntie or that uncle who fronts for you. That auntie or that uncle who allows you to be, who treats you just like they're your children. So yes, you don't have to have a natural born child to be a parent. You don't have to have a natural born child to be able, in a sense, to have children. See, some of us forget that. But those people who can love, and that's the hardest thing in the world, is to be able to love. When you can love, then you can love someone who's may not be your natural born child, but they can still be your child. Because I mean, damn, come on now. It was that auntie, it was one auntie or one uncle that you had that you just loved the hell out of them, and that they made you really feel who and what you are. The Dojo Amanda said, if they need a woman for success, are they truly worthy of manhood and applause? Yes, you can. You don't have to have a woman always be successful on a material plane. You don't have to, in a sense, so you can be applauded as a man. Because see, sometimes here's the problem. Sometimes we can spend so much time. We can spend so much time in our careers that we don't have time to find that woman or that man that can make us happy. Maybe we could have found them at an earlier time. See, I don't think you should feel guilty because you don't have a woman, or feel guilty because you don't have a man. Feel guilty because you don't have a close partner. The thing is this is that you can be applauded just by trying to get through, just by trying to get through this get past this life. Just like trying to get through this whole experience. Because see, everything does not mean, in a sense, that the whole world evolves around a relationship between a man and a woman. Because what happens is that sometimes we don't have the time, but it's good when you can have the time. It's sometimes good when you can devote the time. Sometimes, in a sense, people want to allow us to really love them. And because we want to allow them to love us, and therefore we may, in a sense, not be able to experience that love. But somewhere along the line, we have to, in a sense, we have to try to understand that is through trying to work together as people, and to cross that bridge, to stop the separation, and we come together.
I while you were talking, I see the chat. And what I think is the degrees of separation with regards to what things mean. We talked about, why do people hate reading so much? And it's probably because they disconnected at some point when they were a child, from what they were being taught to if it was real, or how they can apply it in real life. And if you can't, then maybe you just throw all of it away. Why is that important? I think it's important because when people start saying high value, or millionaires, or tangibles, or materialistic, or success, or these words that mean something, but they're not putting it in the proper light, well, now everybody has an opinion on it because it wasn't explained or talked about the right way. Success is, well, whatever the dictionary defines success as. I think that what we were talking about in life, we don't want to have all of these different degrees of separation as much as we already know everybody, and then we don't know anybody. And then maybe if we take the time to pause to learn people, well, now we don't have to be so separate. Inside of that, man, people got all sorts of different ideas about how to get to where you're supposed to be. But if I'm gauging where I'm supposed to be based off of where you are supposed to be, or if you're telling me that I'm supposed to be successful because of where they're supposed to be, It's a lot of judgy shit. And you were saying earlier, Dr. Winters, that we need to probably stay away from the
Judgment.
judgy side of things and maybe just let people be. And then when you let people be, well, now they have an opportunity to be transparent, honest, or authentic. Um, in real time, I think that, well, not I think, I know, like Dwan doesn't have children, but he very much has affected many children that I know love him and he loves them. And a father role for people who didn't have it, an uncle role for people who did have it. But it was necessary for the development of
But he
that.
did have children. He did have children. He was a coach. He coached teams.
That's what I'm saying. Like those were his children,
Yeah,
right?
those were
Educated
his children.
thousands.
Yeah.
And people don't take that. The ones in it don't take it lightly, and the ones not in it don't appreciate it, because in real time you couldn't be at your child's game, but he could, or I could, or you
Right.
could, you know. And that matters later in life. And then maybe if people don't make those connections or have those experiences, then they're very judgmental about how people should be living or what they should be doing with their time because of, quote, success. But again, what I think is success might not be what you think is success, as much as everybody knows that money makes the world go round. So, if you're doing the things that you need to do to pay your bills, then I don't know if I can say that you are an unsuccessful adult or that you're not doing what you're supposed to be doing.
Right.
If you want to do more, right?
That's right. And the doctor says, wait now, we're talking about love when you don't need love in the equation to have children. That's right. You don't need love in the equation to have children. But I tell you, this is that as a teacher, and I taught many kids, and over the years I've found that those kids who come from a relationship in which their parents love them do better in school than those kids in a sense who are rejected by their parents, those foster kids, those kids in a sense who have been left. You just don't know how wounded a kid is. I've worked with many kids, and I've found kids over the years that are being raised by their grandmoms. Their grandmoms love the hell out of them, love the hell out of those kids. But these kids are so wounded because they don't feel loved by their parents that they come to school and they act up, they fuck up, they make mistakes, they go into problems. They hate women or they hate men because the fact in the sense is that they didn't feel that love. I think it's very important, I think that today I look at my sons, I look at my daughter, and they know they can always come to me. And when my wife was alive, they could always go to her, and they can go to each other too and talk. And then I think sometimes when you do have that relationship and you can show the love, it is hard. It is hard to really love and to be loved. The doctor said, just so we're clear, 100%, I 100% believe I need a woman to reach my maximum capacity in this life. However, if I need a woman to succeed, I don't know if I'd call that male a man. That's right. Maybe you wouldn't call him that. Because see, the thing is this is that, as I said, it's easy to be a man on a social level, but on a metaphysical level, on an intrinsic level, on a level where that man can feel totally in control. And I don't think any man in a sense, a man is a conqueror, a man is a warrior. And I think that when a man feels that he's been able in a sense to take possession of that woman, no, you don't own her, you see. But it's in a sense when she allows you to feel as though you have some influence, when she allows you to feel as though you have some power, then this gives you in a sense, it generates within you an idea that you have some type of relative standing. When you're out and you got that fine lady next to you, and she looking good and you looking good, damn, come on now. Come on now. I know you've been to the club back in the day. Now everybody wear t-shirts. Back in the day, you got dressed up, they got dressed up, you was looking fine, she was looking finer. And you like people looking at you. I mean, damn. Come on, Eve. How do your man look when he walking with you? Ain't he smiling? Now you can't smile now. You got to be sister girl. Sister girl got to have a kind of mean face in the streets so those men won't look too hard. But okay, you see him looking, you see him staring, and your man say, "I'll fuck you up." You see?
No, that's real. Oh man. I this whole conversation, all the way free. This whole conversation, I love that we go around the world and make connections between whatever the chat's talking about to my thought. Because originally, when I had this thought, it was because people think that they know people. People think they know me. People think they know you. And we had talked about it a little bit before. I kind of wanted to dive a little bit because in real time, safety is very important. And, if everybody knows everybody, well, then you shouldn't have to worry about being safe. But in real time, sometimes the people you know are the ones that you need to be careful around. Um, we were having a conversation with the minis about what happens if something happens to us. Like, where would they go? Who do they think they would be with? And they gave us their answers. And that made me think about, man, on the internet, I have all these people telling me, oh, I thought we were friends. Why you don't want to be my friend anymore? You're not my friend on Facebook anymore. Well, why aren't you doing, just asking lots of questions as if the internet is a real place. And it's not. Why isn't it? It's just the internet, right? And y'all just know what you think you know about me. And maybe we've been friendly, but does that make us friends? And I just, in real time, I'm like, if something happens, I don't want these people that I don't know to tell my children that we were friends because I don't know this person. But, you tell them just because someone says that they know your mom doesn't mean that you should go home with them. If they come and pick you up from school, talk to them about stranger danger. So I just like, man, everybody thinks they know everybody, and that's not safe. But we do. We know things. We ignore things. We choose to not pay attention to red flags, glaring red flags, or we give grace because human people in, right? We're not so judgmental, Dr. Winters. And then, well, I don't know if we shouldn't pay attention as much as we should definitely have conversations like this about it.
But I think it's limited, like my daughter and my son, sometimes they call me up, they'll say, so and so, my friend, especially, my daughter, my best friend, blah, 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 blah. And I say, well, baby, relax. Don't be judgmental. Give it a chance. Y'all talk it out. And see, that's the whole problem is that most of the time we get into situations where we lose our relationships because we don't talk it out. We're always separated, but we had to try to find a way to unify. Like Marsha said, Marsha Byron says, yeah, you are the boss because I said you could be. That's true. I was the boss because my wife told me I was the boss. I knew I was the baddest mother out there because she said it. And why would she lie to me? Yoshi might say, yes, yes. My wife is fine as wine. I love my beautiful wife. That's right. Love the hell out of her. Because the whole point is this is that why not? And here's another thought. Team Zulu. You don't necessarily need a woman to be successful, yet she could assist you. She could assist your way of living to become simpler and interest and increase your overall success. Yes, yes, because see, remember, just going into that white man's world. See, just going into that white man's world every day. And if your wife may work or maybe she may not work. But the point is this, a lot of times going into that white man's world, getting those microaggressions, you too as a woman, sometimes you need to have a partner who you can relate to, not to just come home and just talk about all the microaggressions, because you're not going to spend time doing that. That's stupid. But you want to come home where you and your mate can have a good relationship, where you and your mate can kind of communicate. And that's the whole thing about life is that we forget, we put so many words into love. We put so many words because I think, I used to say that when we first started talking, Eve, I said in a sense that love is a state of mind. And then Eve corrected me. She said, you old nigga, you don't know what you're talking about. She didn't say that though. But Eve corrected me. She said, love is not a state of mind. Love is a state of being. And this whole idea of being is very important, you see. It's very important because see, who are we? And we're only who we are by the way that we exist, you see? And that's very important to keep in mind.
That's true. Because in real time, like we started the conversation, you never know who's watching you. And you want to put on your best representative because you never know who's watching you. And also, maybe who gives a fuck, right? Because if you just happen to come across me and I just really needed to run to 7-Eleven and grab a coffee, before I started my day, I brushed my teeth, I washed my face, I don't have funky breath, but damn it, I'm not dressed yet. I'm dressed enough, right? And then you're like, oh, damn, Eve's a bum. Look at Eve. She didn't even put on no clothes today. And then now that's how you think that I walk around. Okay, that fine, whatever. Because I, if this is a real relationship or interaction, then that wouldn't have been the only time we've happened to cross each other. And if that is the only time, and every other time you meet me, it's in this imaginary internet land, then do what you want to do, because in real life you're not really doing anything for you don't exist in my real life. As much as we cross paths, you perceive, have your thought, saw what you saw, and then didn't do more. I think more people should do more with their initial happenings with people, to the extent of, if you got the maybe explore that, don't just ignore it. Or if someone made you feel like, oh yeah, like I could do other stuff with this person, explore it. Because you don't know if you don't like them until you realize that your bowling partner needs to stay at the bowling alley and they don't need to come with you to the movies because they talk through the whole movie. You didn't know that when y'all were bowling, but you went to the movies and now they won't shut up and you can't enjoy your movie because, but maybe it's the best bowling partner you've ever had. And you're like, all right, I will eat this because we're going to the ship tomorrow.
Yeah, but you deal with it. You deal with it because you want to have a part. See, it's just like the internet. We say the internet is a fantasy world, and we say the internet is not real. But the internet is just as real as anything, because remember, whatever you make known. See, the only thing that is invisible, the only thing that is non-existent is what's in your mind. And as long as you keep that in your mind, then it has no reality. But see, by the simple fact that you may get on the internet and you may spend your time getting a headache arguing with somebody, you see, or granted, people know who Just Steve is. They definitely know who Dr. Winters is, because Dr. Winters is on YouTube. Then therefore, in a sense, because they know who we are, then that's who we are. But that doesn't necessarily mean that's who we are as beings. But in a way, that's the beauty of life. That's the beauty of it, and that's why you have friends. When you have a friend, you never really, in a sense, look at all their negativities. Sometimes if they got bad breath, you just kind of just move a little further away from them, but you still want to be with them because they're your friend. Sometimes, in a sense, they're saying some stupid ish, but you're not going to say that stupid ish because that's your friend. You see. Now, if somebody you don't like, you say, "Hey, your breath stank. Get away from me, nigga. What the hell is this?"
That's right.
that's
We
that's
should give those courtesies to people we don't like.
that's
And
right.
we will purposely get closer to someone and just in physical proximity because we do, like, that physical proximity thing. People say the internet's not real because you're in Chicago and I'm in Virginia, but we're having this conversation in real time. And I would say that I would agree it's a fantasy land. So it's not that it's not real. It's just fantastic, right? We can do all of these wonderful different things and more. I could watch TV right now if I wanted to, and read a book and be on live with you. I don't know if it'd be productive, but I could definitely turn on everything in the house and just go with that flow. Um, I find that when we pause to explore these thoughts that we have a little bit deeper, then we're not so separate. Every Not every, maybe a lot of the conversations I have with Black Americans, they didn't grow up like me. but we have the same story. And it's not exactly the same, but it's the same. Cousins, sisters, brothers, even if they were a single child, something that they've experienced is exactly to the tune of something that I've experienced. And I don't know how to say that we don't know each other if we're not having the same experiences. That's why our lineage is so important. That's why when people say that, delineation is important, it's more about our shared connection, our immediate shared connection. That's why you're more close to your family than the people across the street. But if you see the people across the street more than you see your cousins, your first cousins, then maybe you're more close to the people across the street, even though you're closer to your cousins, you know?
Yeah,
That's a
that is the whole thing about separation. What is the separation? Does it exist? Is there a separation? Because see, it's trying to find a way in which we can communicate, in which we can find that happy medium that allows us to cross that divide to separate us, to make us again, in a sense, become much more unified. You know, and it's very important. It's very important in a sense that we respect our separations, but at the same time realize that we can find a means to communicate. I mean, remember that person? Remember, I remember when I was younger, and when I got into the friend zone with a girl who I had once liked, and I know you can't take it any further, but it's still wonderful to have a good friend that's of the opposite sex. I do believe that I do believe in a sense it's hard for maybe men and women to work around each other because some people don't know what love is. Some people don't know what love is. Most of us, most of us believe that if you love somebody, you got to screw them. And that's how we make our mistake. Instead of understanding that you can love somebody and that there is a platonic love. But because of the fact that most of us see everything from that perspective, that's why a lot of times some of the outcomes are negative. Because after we've had sex with that person, well, maybe well, I didn't really want that. It's
that's
stupid. It's stupid.
it's
Stupid. But you say to
is it
yourself,
stupid though?
I didn't really want that.
I
Why did
don't
I
think
do
that's
that?
stupid. It's shallow, right? Because
Uh-uh.
people understand primal urges and that sort of communication way more than they will want to sit down and have a conversation with someone about things that thing for them. That it makes things very uncomfortable when you start knowing why they act like they act, especially if it were someone you were intimate with or going to be intimate with. Those questions are real deep. Someone I just gonna go bowling with, I don't need to know what side of the bed they sleep on because
But why?
yeah, right, like what we need to know that for. But if this is my person, I need to sleep on the side of the bed that is away from whatever it is. I don't know, fill in the blank. And then yeah, it's just a deeper conversation because of how they're going to be in my life versus other people. Like you said, you don't judge your friends because you're not sleeping with them. You
Yeah.
start judging people when you sleep with them because you're like, damn it, I
Why
hmm.
did I, why is it sometimes you say, why did I do that? I like that person. I maybe even love that person, but I didn't feel. Yeah, I may have had the climax or whatever you want to call it, but I didn't really. I'm not getting nothing out of this. You see, and I know people out there. You're saying, what the hell is Dr. Winters talking about? Well, you've been with somebody who the hell you knew. Damn, I'm wasting my time. What is this? Why did I do that? She was fine as hell. She was whoa, but damn, that's not what I wanted. You see, and I think that this is the thing that makes it very difficult because that's why we're always trying to see what is the degree of separation that divide us, so we can find a way to bring us back into our contentment. And I think that that's what I always say. And people say, "What does a woman bring to the table for me?" What a woman brings to the table for me is a woman who makes me feel content, who makes me feel happy. You know, Eve, I'm gonna ask you a question.
Okay.
And what 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 is it? What does a man bring to the table? Nobody ever asks this question. I'm asking, what does a man bring to the table that makes you feel that they should be acceptable?
Oh, I only have one answer for that. It is consistency. But that would be it at my table. Some women don't like that. And it's a catch 22 because if you are like me, I'm way more spontaneous than I am structured. But I just told you that my man needs to bring consistency to the table. And because if I'm so wavy, I need him to be not wavy. We can't be the same.
That's deep.
Sometimes, I picked the right one. I picked the right one because he's wavy sometimes too. And he bends when
But that's the whole point, though, is that but really, in a sense, I think that most really good women, they can be spontaneous, they can be wacky as hell, but they still expect their man to be consistent. That
absolutely.
is a very good answer. That's a very good answer, and it's an answer that maybe because I've seen that in my life with my wife is that my baby doll is that she wanted you had to be consistent. And the thing is, this is that if if you're in fellas, if you're in a relationship and you deviate, then that's when your woman look at you side eye, and then you got to do some explaining, and you can be fucked up because the point is this is that most women they do want to see consistency. They do in a sense want to see where you're always there. But like my father, he told me three things. He said, Clyde, when you get married, number one, you don't tell your wife how much you make. Number two, you don't come home at the same time. Because if you come home at the same time, then they'll be wondering if you stop off with the guys sometimes to have a drink or whatever, they'll be wondering where you at. So you never come home at the same time. I told my kids that's right, girls. If any of you, and one of my daughters told my daughter-in-law told me the other day, I listened to your show with Eve. You know who you are, Miss M. So I'm talking to you. Is that I told my sons the same thing, and so then but she said she listens to our show.
Oh,
So I have to give her that. She said something else about is a misspelled word somewhere, but I got to remember to check that out. But again, in a sense, that's what my father taught me, and I think that those are the way things should be. Because I think that if you allow your woman to be what she wants to be, then even though there's a separation, you can also, in a sense, find a unity of purpose. Because I think that that's why I love your definition of love. Love is a state of being. It's how you are. What allows you in terms of that incarnation, in terms of that flow, what allows you to be who and what you are. I think that's important.
I think that if we are exploring life as, these states of matter, states of being, right, then there won't be so much separation. Right now, we've been told that men and women can't be friends. And it's probably because everybody would try to fuck everybody. And that's not how you have to operate either, even though we both got biology and sometimes you really do like being around somebody, but it doesn't mean that y'all are supposed to be intimate like that as much as maybe you're supposed to create something. People have very shallow thoughts and then they do shallow things and then they're mad at themselves because they didn't get what they wanted out of the situation.
But
But
some people, I'm sad to say, some people do not feel love exists until they're fucking with you, and it's sad. It's very sad, and that's what I found when I was going to college, and I looked it over it. Like a lot of girls could really like each other, and they would eventually become lesbians because the fact is this: they felt they had to. That the only way, we've been taught in this Western society that the only way that you can really love somebody is to have sex with them, and that's false. I
it
think
is.
that's false. Did you? We're about to close up. What did you want to say finally about degrees of separation?
Um, I find that every time we're about to end, my brain just goes whoa, and it's very hard to put that explosion into succinctly. But tonight, if people are more honest about the things then there won't be so much separation. You won't have to force people to be around you. You will find your tribe, you'll find your people, you'll find your person, because you're not projecting as much as you are open. But I get, being open is vulnerable. So then maybe you would want to put some space. I don't think that my man, or I don't think that you should know everything that she's thinking all the time. We shouldn't know what you're thinking all the time, because that would get very boring. But I get
I
it.
don't think so.
Time, I get it. I get it.
Yeah.
Because I swear, if he's laughing at something, I want to laugh too. But sometimes we're laughing at the same thing and no conversation needed to happen or anything. And as you talk, you get there, but you can't get there without talking. So you go into things, all sorts of degrees of separation, and then conversations happen, and you find that you can say, hey, my back itches, and then you don't even have to tell them where. I think that is so simple, but it's so hard to get there because nobody wants to talk to anybody, or they want to talk to everybody. And then, these little conversations that we have on Wednesday get drowned out by, other conversations about bigger, similar situations.
But that's the beauty of this conversation, though. This is a conversation that we all want to have. But yes, when people listening to Professor Black and the Black issues and the reparations, that's good. Sometimes we need these simple representations too. Again, in a sense, I want to thank everybody for coming. Our introduction was made by Yoshimod, and I'd like you guys, in a sense, to check out some of the services that he can offer, because Yoshimod is a great genius, great genius.
Agreed.
Mod Productions, we're here to take your brand and creativity to new heights. From EPKs to AI commercials, animated music commercials to animated AI bios, book covers to picture flyers, and so much more, we've got you covered. Our team is dedicated to delivering high-quality, cutting-edge designs that leave a lasting impression. And for our valued clients, we offer exceptional creativity, a customer-centric approach, and work that reflects the latest trends and technologies. Just about making art, we're about creating experiences. Your brand, your vision, our artistry. Professionalism and reliability are the cornerstones of everything we do. We're more than a service, we're your creative partners. If you're ready to make your brand shine, look no further than Yoshimod Productions. Join us in the journey of creativity. Contact us today and let's make your vision a reality.
Again, thank everybody. Thank you for coming. See you next week, and hopefully you guys were entertained. And hey, bye, everybody.
Like first, bye.